anything. So anyways, let's dive into eating healthy on a budget. And I shared with you this week that when I shared my grocery hauls, my grocery haul from last week, there were some very negative comments, and I ended up having to shut off the comments on that post because it was just getting out of control. And it was about me not feeding my family healthy when I call my page Eating Healthy, Spending Less. And so it was that I feed my kids I feed my whole family meat and eggs and dairy when that person didn't consider those items to be healthy. And I could tell immediately because their page was like a plant-based type page. So that's where this whole let me show you how healthy I really eat kind of stemmed from. But I got so many wonderful messages from so many of you sharing, your struggles of, as you grow your page, you kind of start getting more negative comments, and it's just kind of the way it is. And it's like, okay, I am a people pleaser, and so it kind of just got under my skin a little bit. But anyways, we're good now. But I wanted to readdress this topic with you. About 2 or 3 months ago, I did an Instagram live on cheap, healthy foods. However, the page has grown exponentially since then. And so I thought we would revisit the issue since it kind of pertains to what happened last week. So, cheap, healthy foods. When you think of cheap food, in my mind, I immediately go think of boxed meals, Hamburger Helper, canned soup, saltine crackers. Sorry, I have something in my eye. And so getting into this mindset of changing the way that you think of cheap foods is hard. So for me, I had to kind of recategorize things in my mind of, okay, I'm going to over here in my brain say boxed foods are cheap foods, but they're not healthy foods, okay? They fill me up, but they can also make me hungry because of the MSG in them, and they make me crave more of it. So technically, those boxed cheap foods that you get in the center aisles of the grocery store are cheap, but they're not healthy. And so I'm going to shove those away. And so if you... Thank you. You guys are so sweet. And so I have to kind of push those non-healthy cheap foods out of my brain. I don't even want to think about them because I really am striving to eat healthier. And so for many years, or for 4 years, I was grain-free, and I'm still sugar-free. I'm trying to be grain-free again, but you guys, it's hard. So last night I caved and I had some brown rice, and you know what? I don't even care. I think that that's healthy. I think brown rice is a healthy grain. And so I'm just trying to limit my grains and be as conscientious of that as possible. And so anyways, then I have this other category in my mind of cheap, healthy foods. So, yes, it is hard. So when you make that shift of getting away from just cheap, stomach-filling garbage, and now you want to eat cheap and healthy. So as you all know, when we hit the recession, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, the coupon craze occurred, and everybody was using coupons, and I joined that wagon, and I had a coupon website, and I was pumping, promoting coupons every day, and I was printing them and getting newspapers, and I was the coupon queen of Bakersfield, where I live. And I had this great growing coupon website. But then the shift happened, and the shift was eating healthier. Well, a lot of those coupons for granola bars, hamburger helper, cereal, canned soup, all of that, it shifted. And people stopped buying all of those items because now it's the paleo, the keto, the Whole30, all of these new diets started happening, and people were sick on all of that cheap garbage, and so they wanted to shift and eat healthier. So now the coupon craze has kind of dissipated. It's still there, but it's not as popular anymore because it's harder to find coupons on fresh produce and things like that. Well, now we have this digital era of digital coupons, and that's what I like to use because then I don't have to sit around and print out coupons, use up my printer ink, and then cut them out. So there's this balance that you have to find of if you are on a debt-free journey or just trying to cut back on your grocery budget, or if you're on a weight loss journey, whatever it is, you have to find your balance of what you want to use coupons on if you still want to, and how to manage a cheap, healthy lifestyle. So I still use coupons to donate stuff, and that is fantastic. A lot of times when I can get top ramen or a cup of soup for really cheap or almost free, I will pick those up to donate because that's not something that I eat because of me being gluten-free. Our doctor says yes to fruit. One doctor says yes to fruit. I say yes to fruit. So anyways, let's go over what I consider to be cheap, healthy foods. And then we'll talk about grocery ads a little bit. I brought some of those in. And then we'll talk about meal planning, because meal planning is essential to being frugal. It's hard, but it's so true. If you want to be frugal and spend less money on your grocery budget, I promise the only way you can successfully achieve it is to meal plan. And it's really hard and nobody likes it, but you got to do it. So, and I do share my meal plan, so you can just kind of use whatever I have posted on my website if you want to. Okay, so these are cheap, healthy staples. I am in the process of writing a post on my website, so hopefully I get it up this week. And then you can always refer to that too after this video goes off. So anyways, cheap, healthy foods, of course. What does Dave Ramsey say? Beans and rice. So, of course, beans and rice, okay? They're always going to be cheap. They're cheap. So, beans, brown rice, white rice. If you want to get into this, let's just try all the rices that are out there. Go to Winco in their bulk section, and they've got basmati and jasmine, and you can just try all the rices that they have. Also potatoes, there's lots of different potatoes to try, and if you've never tried purple potatoes, those are really good. You can get those at Sprouts. Purple potatoes are delicious. My kids absolutely love purple potatoes. So beans, rice, potatoes, frozen vegetables. Now frozen vegetables can be a tricky one because not all frozen vegetables are cheap. So the three that I recommend staying with is your corn, your green beans, and your peas. These are typically items or food products that are harder to find fresh, and when you do find them fresh, they can be more expensive, except for right now because corn is now in season. And so one of the stores this week has corn for, it was Vallarta's. If you don't know what Vallarta's is, it's like a Mexican grocery store, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So, but anyways, they have corn on the cob this week for 19 cents each, which is just phenomenal. So, yes. So, hold on. There we go. So anyways, but typically the 3 frozen foods that I would stick with are the green beans, peas, and corn. Oats. Oats are so incredibly cheap. Typically at Sprouts, I've noticed about every 3 months, Sprouts has them for about 59 cents to 69 cents a pound. That's phenomenal. Winco always has them for 62 cents a pound. And then, of course, at Aldi's, you can get the big container for, I believe it's $2.39, if I remember correctly. So oats are really cheap. So for my family, being gluten-free means we can't eat regular flour. So I have customized a lot of my recipes to use oat flour. So I have a Ninja blender. It's a lot like a Vitamix, and I just put my oats in there and grind them up and make my own oat flour, and then I can use that as my substitute for regular flour. Now, oat flour can be more crumbly, and so if you add things like peanut butter or bananas or things that help like bind the oat flour, then it won't be as crumbly. So oats are another great, cheap, healthy food. Eggs. Eggs are so inexpensive, and I know I've seen at Aldi's the prices keep fluctuating a lot, and sometimes you can get them for 99 cents a dozen. It seems like recently they've been over $2 a dozen, and that is so expensive. So my recommendation is when you see those higher prices, if you have a Costco membership, Costco generally sells their 2 dozen package of eggs for a little over $3, and that is so incredibly inexpensive as a protein. And then today I am posting my fluffy scrambled eggs recipe. You're gonna love it. It's a family favorite. So I've posted my how to poach an egg, the perfect poached egg, and then today it'll be the fluffy scrambled eggs. So we eat a lot of eggs in our house because we are gluten-free. We don't eat as much bread. And so the majority of our diet is going to be protein and vegetables, and then some crackers and, these simple, healthy, cheap grains. The other cheap, inexpensive food is bone-in chicken. And bone-in chicken is dramatically cheaper. Drastically? There we go. Drastically cheaper than boneless, skinless chicken breasts. So a couple weeks ago, Albertsons and Vons had bone-in chicken for, I think it was 69 cents or 67 cents a pound. That's amazing. And so what I do when I get the bone-in chicken is I come home, and a lot of times I'll peel off the skin on each piece of chicken, put it in a gallon bag, and then so there's 6 of us in our family, so a lot of times I'll do 8 to 10 pieces of chicken, whether it's the breast, thigh. I don't really do a lot of drumsticks. I normally do thighs, and so the bone-in ones. And then I will add like dry seasonings to it. I'll just start, dousing some onion powder, garlic powder, and then I kind of go from there. What do I want to do? Do I want it to be like a Mexican flavor, or would I rather it be like a Greek flavor or a ranch flavor? And so I just start adding sorry, there's a blue jay that flew right up to my window. And I'll just start adding all of those seasonings right into the bag with the chicken. And then I toss it in my deep freezer, like I showed you guys a picture yesterday of my deep freezer. So anyways, that's what I do. It's a very cheap cut of meat. Now, a lot of you, when I posed the question this last week on how can I help you, what do you need help with to be successful in having a lower grocery budget? And the biggest thing that you said was grass-fed beef. Grass-fed beef is my favorite. I love it. It is so much better than regular ground beef that you can buy in the grocery store. There is just nothing like it. It has the best flavor. So in those circumstances, a lot of times I buy grass-fed ground beef at Aldi's, and a lot of times I look at the expiration date, and then I'll go back when the expiration date is like coming near. Like I'll write it down on my grocery list, the expiration date, and then I can plan accordingly, go back, and a lot of times they're marked down. And so that's when I will buy grass-fed ground beef. Or at Sprouts, a lot of times, you guys, they sell it for $3.99 a pound. That's incredible for grass-fed ground beef, and that's when I would be stocking up on grass-fed ground beef. So when I do serve grass-fed ground beef, which has not been recently because of my whole no spin challenge, I will bulk it up with shredded zucchini or shredded carrots. That way I'm still not missing out on the flavor of the ground beef. However, I'm bulking it up so that I can stretch it farther, because it is a more expensive type of meat, grass-fed. So, okay, bags of carrots. Carrots, you can get a 2-pound bag for about $1. Sometimes they're on sale at Aldi's for 69 cents, which is phenomenal. We go through about 2-pound bags of carrots a week. So I told you guys yesterday in my stories, or 2 days ago, I love chips. Chips is my favorite food of all times. Anything. I love chips and salsa. So when I noticed that we're running low on chips, like we just blew through those blue corn chip bags this weekend. They're gone. They were phenomenal. Kroger's had an awesome deal on their organic corn chips this weekend. So now we're kind of like running low on chips, and I want to save those chips for my husband's lunches. And so I will take my mandolin and I will slice just a regular carrot. I don't peel it or anything. I just wash it and then I just slice it on the mandolin. And then to me, that is like my chip. And so I call them carrot chips. And we go through carrot chips all week. I make them for my son for his lunch, and then my oldest, who I pack her lunch for, I make her carrot chips 3 or 4 times a week. So bags of carrots are so inexpensive, and I just love them. Peanuts, if you're looking for a nut that you can feed your kids more, I'm going to be showing you guys some thrifty summer snacks to feed your kids in the summer while they're home. That one's coming up here in a couple, maybe next week. And peanuts. I always add peanuts to their snacks, and I'll show you. And but anyways, Aldi's, you can get a big canister of cocktail peanuts for about $2. That is so cheap. And we go through peanuts like candy around here. A lot of times what I'll do, and I don't think I've shared the recipe, but if you, in a little skillet on the stove, if you just take a little bit of honey and pour some honey in your skillet with about 1/2 tablespoon of butter. As it bubbles, it is going to caramelize and almost be like a caramel sauce. So then what I do is I will pour like pumpkin seeds and peanuts, and if I have some pecans or something, I'll pour those in, and I make like a peanut brittle. And so the main ingredient though in it is going to be the peanuts, and it is so incredibly delicious, and it's like a great dessert. So I use a lot of peanuts as a cheap, healthy food. Yogurt and cottage cheese. These are so incredibly cheap. You can at Aldi's get a container, the larger containers of plain yogurt. Buy plain. That way you can control the sugar that's in it. And it's only $1.79 for the larger container. And then I sweeten it at home myself with a little pure maple syrup. I find that honey can get hard when it touches something cold. And so I will use pure maple syrup in like a teaspoon or so, and then mix it up into the yogurt. And then I'll add maybe a tiny bit of vanilla extract if I want to. And then I mix it in with fruit and nuts and stuff for my kids. Or on my website, I've already posted it, my super simple homemade granola. It just uses oats. It's so cheap to make and easy, so you'll have to check that recipe out. And then cottage cheese. My husband loves cottage cheese with pepper on it, and so I do buy cottage cheese for his lunches. It's super easy. It's a protein. It's got calcium in it. It's good for you, and he'll eat it. Okay, the last one I was going to mention popcorn, and I don't have anything else to say about that, but popcorn is a cheap healthy food that you can make at home, and we buy a bag of the popcorn kernels and we pop them ourselves on the stove. There's tons of recipes. You can Google that one. The last one is going to be Leafy Greens. Now this one, it can be a little bit difficult to understand only because leafy greens tend to shrink as they cook. And so you might think, well, if I buy a huge bag of leafy greens and I cook them, they just dwindle down to nothing, and then there's not much there for us to eat. And that's true, except when you buy hardy leafy greens like kale or collard greens or Swiss chard. These greens will keep more of their form as long as you don't overcook them. If you overcook them, then of course they're going to shrink to nothing. But they are a hardier green, and so they will keep that bulkness a little bit better than, say, a spinach or, arugula or whatever you're using. I like to look for at the store the bags, or this last week I got a humongous container of spinach, and it was marked down to $1.99, and it was an organic box of spinach. And so I was really excited, and I knew that I could freeze it, and so that's what I've done. And I love to freeze spinach, and I know that sounds crazy, and I've seen on Pinterest where you can take the spinach and grind it in a blender with water and then put it in ice cube trays and freeze it. But that is so not necessary, friends. All you have to do is take the bag of spinach and stick it in the freezer. And then when you pull out the spinach, it just you can crumble it in your hand and it doesn't clump together. It's awesome. You have to try it. So I have not read any of your comments, so let me read a couple of them. Oh, yes. Yes, putting spinach in the freezer, yes. You made my baked oatmeal recipe today. Thank you. I love it. It's delicious. I just think it's the greatest dish. Healthy means something different to everyone, and that's okay. What I won't watch is anyone who promotes diet culture. Okay. Well, I totally agree with you, and that is the issue that I ran into this last week with that certain commenter about me feeding protein to my family was not healthy. And that's what I told her, is that we all have our own definition of what healthy means, and that's the way that we were made. I mean, we're supposed to we all think differently, and so and then also our healths are different. And so my health is different than your health. And so me having to eat gluten-free and sugar-free was something that I actually had to do 4 years ago. But the thought of eating sugar now sounds incredibly disgusting to me. And so I enjoy the smell of a donut, but the thought of eating it sounds horrible because of how sweet it smells. And so I don't miss out anymore. It's not a big deal to me. I still enjoy the occasional Diet Coke, and I did have a Diet Pepsi yesterday, but that is very rare, and it was awesome. And so I just enjoyed it, and then I'm not going to do that for a while because it makes me not feel very good. So anyways, healthy means something different to everybody. But like I was saying in the beginning of the video, if you train your mindset to not look at the boxed meals as being this cheap food anymore. I know that it's cheap, but if you just are like, I don't want to eat that garbage, that boxed meal, because it's not healthy for me and it's not, it's out of my mind, then that's what you have to do. And then train your mind to think, well, what are healthy foods that are naturally cheap, like the list I just gave you? These are naturally cheap foods. They are typically always cheap, and rarely are they ever marked up because of how inexpensive they are, and yet they are healthy foods. They're real foods, minimally processed, and they're good for you. And so that's what I consider to be healthy for my family. Yes, I still buy granola bars sometimes. And yes, I know how to make homemade granola bars, and I love my homemade granola bar recipe. But time management is also a factor too. So you just have to find that right balance. So anyways, let me just quickly go over. I think I caught up on some of the comments. Let me quickly go over some of the deals this week that I found. Now, Aldi's does not, so on California time, so I don't even know what time it is. It's 9:40 here. So tonight, my time at 9 o'clock is when Aldi's will post their ad for starting tomorrow. So I don't know yet what the deals are at Aldi's. I can share them tomorrow. But I also don't get their ad because I do live about 10-15 minutes away from the store. So let's see. At Sprouts this week, they have their berries on sale for $1.25 a container, which is phenomenal. They have blueberries, strawberries, and then blackberries. They also have cucumbers for 33 cents each. And then, oh, you guys, I didn't even see this. If you want grass-fed ground beef, it's on sale, stock-up price at Sprouts for $3.99 a pound. Let me see. It doesn't say a limit, so that's really good. And then portion it out. If it says that it comes in a value pack, so that might mean that it comes in like a 2 or a 3 pound package. So portion it out. Don't let yourself eat, all of it at one time, or cook it all up and then save some for later in the week. That way you can stretch it and it's not costing you as much. Okay, so then I don't have it in my area. Oh, I'm sorry. I love Sprouts, but I haven't been there recently because I've been going to Aldi's and then Foods Co. And Foods Co. is owned by Kroger. By the way, if you heard my story last week about how horrific my shopping trip was at Foods Co., I found out from all of you that it was like a nationwide digital coupon problem with Kroger. So hopefully they get that fixed because I want to give it another shot. I really do. Speaking of Foods Co., they have whole seedless watermelon for 19 cents a pound. That's another thing, friends. If you look on like the Dirty Dozen list or I forget what the Clean 15, is that what it is? You'll see that watermelon does not need to be bought organic because the rind is so thick, no bad chemicals or pesticides can get into the fruit. Same with oranges and avocados and bananas. Those do not need to be bought organic. So if you're like concerned about that, just look those terms up on Google. Also, it looks like corn is 25 cents each at Foods Co. So I don't know if all of these deals are like the same at Kroger's, but we don't have Kroger's here. However, I do look on Kroger's website to see their ads. Then that way I know what digital coupons they have on their website that I can add to my card and hopefully use at my Foods Co. And then let's see. If you are a Vons Albertsons girl like me or guy, they have strawberries, limit 2 for 99 cents each, and then cantaloupe for 99 cents each. So I will probably be buying that because I am on a $40 a week grocery budget this every week for the month of May for our No Spin Challenge. And my friends, that is really, really hard to do. When I was couponing a lot, that is when Walmart would do, price matching. And so I would take all my ads and go to Walmart and get all of the sale produce deals at Walmart. And so I challenged myself when I was a family of 3. So it was just my husband, me, and my oldest daughter, and she was like 2 or 3. I challenged myself that summer to only spend $30 a week on groceries. It was so incredibly hard. And now I'm doing $40 a week for 6 people, and it's crazy. It's crazy, but we're making it. We're making it because I'm saving my $1,000, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, so then let's see what else. That was all I could see there. Oh, by the way, if you are a Vons and Albertsons person, $1.77 a pound on boneless, skinless chicken breasts if you want to buy that. What I do typically with boneless, skinless chicken breasts is I will take the fillet and then I will slice it down the middle. And if it's really big, typically I can get 3 slices down the middle, and then that gives me 2 for the price of 1. And because a lot of those chicken breasts are so big, you shouldn't be eating that much chicken. You should fill your plate with more vegetables. And so, but I do sometimes like to have the bone-in, boneless, skinless chicken breast for grilling. So, also, I don't think Smart and Final has that good a deal. So I guess that's it. This is my my menu plan for the month. These printables are actually on my website. So if you go to eatinghealthyspendingless.com, you'll see a tab that says free printables. There's 3 free printables for you. And then if you subscribe to my newsletter, you will get a budgeting printable for free. And it really helps you make budget-friendly meals based on what you already own and then what you need to buy at the grocery store to complete the meal. And so that is another whole topic to discuss that we won't really get into. But anyways, I really hope that this helped you, and I will try to save this video for my YouTube channel if you want to watch it later. But thank you guys for joining. It's always a treat to get to talk to you. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.